Have you ever found yourself facing the difficult choice of cremating a loved one? Did you choose cremation believing it to be a more convenient and affordable option? Have you heard people say that there is no spiritual distinction between burial and cremation? Have you ever felt uncertain about whether that choice was right? Today, I want to share with you a perspective that may radically change the way you see death and the destiny of souls. This comes from a revelation given to Faustina, who described the intense suffering of souls whose bodies are cremated. This is something little known among Catholics. The information I will present does not come from human opinions or traditions, but rather from direct revelations that Saint Faustina received from the souls themselves. Through a deep analysis of the mystical writings of Saint Faustina, which detail her visions of purgatory, I discovered teachings that transformed my understanding of death, especially regarding the link between body and soul. These revelations go beyond what is commonly taught. Many families, upon learning about these teachings, have changed their funeral decisions. But before we continue, my dear friends, make sure to subscribe to the channel and, after watching the video, leave a comment below sharing your thoughts and opinion. Catholic families came to understand why Catholic tradition has always favored burial, and, more importantly, learned ways to help the souls of those who had already been cremated find peace. However, it is important to note that this revelation is not meant for everyone. It is particularly relevant for Catholics who deeply care about the eternal destiny of their loved ones, families who want to make decisions that truly honor God and benefit the souls of the departed. The truth is, many people choose cremation without knowing its spiritual implications. Funeral professionals rarely discuss these spiritual aspects, and priests do not always mention the mystical revelations related to them. As a result, decisions are often made based on financial or practical considerations. Saint Faustina Kowalska revealed unsettling information. The souls told her that the cremation of their bodies brings them a particular suffering that prolongs their purification period. This suffering could be avoided if families were aware of the true spiritual nature of this matter. The pain of the souls does not come from the physical process of cremation itself, but from a deeper dimension connected to the spiritual nature of the human being and to how God designed a bond between body and soul. Saint Faustina had specific visions about this during her communications with the souls in purgatory. The souls themselves explained their experiences when their bodies were consumed by fire and revealed the importance of traditional burial for spiritual peace. The most surprising revelation is that this suffering is completely avoidable. If families knew what St. Faustina discovered, they could make decisions that would truly benefit their loved ones after death, granting them eternal peace rather than prolonging their purification. The most hopeful part is that even if you already cremated a loved one, there are still ways to help. St. Faustina was also instructed on how to assist these souls, relieving their suffering and accelerating their journey toward eternal glory. Jesus revealed to her that there are specific prayers, practices, and devotions that can completely transform the condition of a soul whose body was cremated. In the next moments, you will discover exactly what was revealed to St. Faustina about the suffering of cremated souls, why it happens, and what can be done to help them. This knowledge may be crucial for understanding the eternal destiny of your loved ones. This revelation has profoundly changed the outlook of thousands of families on death, reshaping their funeral choices and bringing peace to those who once felt guilty. It has opened new paths of spiritual help unknown to many. If you have ever had doubts or questions about the cremation of a loved one, and if you feel a genuine search for truth in your heart regarding this matter, leave a comment. I want to share this truth with you. This message has reached you for a reason. It is the right time for you to hear St. Faustina's revelations about the afterlife. There is a crucial detail about St. Faustina that makes all the difference. In addition to her visions of the merciful Jesus, she had direct communication with souls in purgatory who confided in her secrets about what happens after death. During her mystical life, St. Faustina developed an extraordinary ability to communicate with the souls of the departed. These souls sought her intercession, asking for prayers and revealing truths about their condition after death. One of the most impactful revelations was related to the destiny of the body after death. By delving into the teachings of Catholic mystical tradition, I studied these encounters for years, and what I discovered completely changed my understanding of death and resurrection. Saint Faustina not only had visions of these souls, but also conversed with them as if they were physically present. The most significant revelation she received concerns a mysterious connection between body and soul after death. The souls explain that, although separated from the physical body, they maintain a spiritual bond with it until the day of the final resurrection. The Catholic Church has always preferred burial, not merely out of tradition, but because mystics like Saint Faustina discovered that there's a profound spiritual reason for it. There's an invisible and enduring connection between the soul and its body, lasting until the end of time. Saint Faustina had a specific vision that illustrates this bond between body and soul. She saw threads of golden light, linking each soul in purgatory to its body on earth. These threads shone brighter and calmer when the bodies were buried, but appeared restless and painful when the bodies were cremated. The souls explained to Saint Faustina that when their bodies are cremated, they feel a reflection of that pain. Not a physical pain, since they no longer have a body, but a deep spiritual suffering that makes their purification harder and prolongs their stay in purgatory. One of the souls said to Saint Faustina, literally, "Sister, when my body was cremated, I felt as if part of my hope in the resurrection had been lost. I know God can raise me from ashes, but the process of my purification became more painful." This vision highlights the importance of understanding that the body is not merely a temporary shell for the soul. According to Catholic teaching and the revelations received by Saint Faustina, the body is a temple of the Holy Spirit, destined to rise glorified at the end of time. This glorious destiny establishes a sacred bond that must be respected. Mercedes, a widow from Colombia, shared her experience after learning about these revelations. She had planned the cremation of her husband for economic reasons, but changed her mind once she understood the depth of this sacred connection between body and soul. She chose instead to honor her husband's body with a traditional burial. Mercedes' sister-in-law reported that, after learning about the suffering of souls, she completely changed her funeral plans. Mercedes opted for a traditional burial and felt a deep inner peace for having made the right decision. In Catholic spiritual tradition, as studied through the teachings of St. Faustina, it is understood that it is essential to honor the body as a sacred temple, for it is destined to be glorified. Burial is seen as a way of respecting this intrinsic dignity, while cremation, although not considered a sin, can disturb the peace of the soul during its purification. Jesus taught St. Faustina that the decisions we make regarding our deceased loved ones have real spiritual consequences, directly affecting the souls in purgatory, who depend on our prayers and choices to reach the fullness of peace. St. Faustina's revelations highlight the great difference between following human traditions and adhering to divine wisdom about death. They encourage us to make decisions for the eternal well-being of souls, instead of basing them merely on convenience or economy. Fernando, a Mexican father, testified that after cremating his mother, he began to have distressing dreams in which he seemed to be suffering. His brother commented that Fernando only found peace after applying the teachings of St. Faustina to assist his mother in purgatory. The dreams ceased, and he regained peace of mind. St. Faustina's wisdom on the matter is clear and revolutionary. Souls would overwhelmingly prefer a simple burial in blessed ground to any cremation, no matter how elegant. If these revelations of St. Faustina are touching your heart deeply, and you feel that the time has come to understand the truth about death, do not hesitate to express your readiness. Write, "I am ready for this revelation because I need to know." Prepare yourself to discover truths that may alter eternal decisions. The most striking revelation about the destiny of souls, as shown to St. Faustina, involves a specific pain that souls feel when their bodies are cremated. This pain is not nostalgia for earthly life nor fear judgment, but rather the sense that part of their hope in the resurrection has been damaged. One soul explained to St. Faustina, "Sister, when my family chose to cremate me, I felt as if the roots of my hope were torn away. I know God is omnipotent and can raise me from the ashes, But my spiritual heart longs for the part lost in the fire. The most devastating aspect is that this pain is not temporary. It persists throughout the soul's stay in purgatory. It is like a spiritual wound that only heals at the moment of the final resurrection. Souls reveal that when their bodies are buried in holy ground, they feel a peaceful connection with the hope of resurrection. It is as if their bodies are resting, quietly awaiting the glorious day. However, when cremated, that connection becomes painful and distressing. Saint Faustina discovered that this happens because the human body was created by God to be the temple of the Holy Spirit, and that dignity does not end with death. The soul maintains a sacred bond with the body, its temple, until the day of the resurrection. Cremation breaks this connection abruptly and violently. Jesus, upon rising, did not appear as a pure spirit, but with his glorified body, perfectly united with the soul. Souls await the same bodily resurrection, and when their bodies are destroyed by fire, that expectation is disturbed, even though faith remains. The Catholic tradition of burying the dead is not merely a custom, but an act of respect for the dignity of the body, which will one day be glorified. Souls perceive when that dignity is honored or disregarded. Furthermore, there is a significant spiritual difference between the natural decomposition of the body in the earth and its violent destruction by fire. Decomposition is part of God's divinely designed cycle, whereas cremation interrupts it in a way that impacts the soul. However, if you have already cremated a loved one, do not despair. Jesus taught St. Faustina specific methods to ease the suffering of such souls and restore their spiritual peace. These methods were revealed directly by the suffering souls. Offer masses specifically for the soul of the cremated deceased, asking Jesus to heal the spiritual wound caused by cremation. These masses have special power to restore the soul's connection to the hope of resurrection. Pray the Chapel of Divine Mercy for 9 consecutive days for the cremated soul. Souls told St. Faustina that this continuous prayer brings relief and helps them find peace. These acts of devotion and faith can transform the spiritual situation of the soul, even after cremation, and are essential for helping the departed on their journey toward eternal glory. Each mystery of the Chapel of Divine Mercy should be prayed with a special request for mercy for the soul of the deceased and forgiveness for the decision to cremate. Souls testify that they feel immediate relief when such prayers are offered specifically for them. Another recommended action is to perform works of mercy in the name of the deceased, especially helping poor families bury their loved ones with dignity. Souls explain that when this is done, they feel as if their lost dignity is being restored. If possible, bury the ashes in consecrated ground with an appropriate religious ceremony. This does not completely erase the initial pain, but it helps to restore part of the lost sacred connection. Consecrate the soul of the deceased specifically to the merciful heart of Jesus, asking him to take the soul under his special protection and hasten its purification despite the wound caused by cremation. Beware of common mistakes that can worsen the spiritual situation, thinking that because the Church permits cremation, it has no spiritual consequences. Keeping ashes at home instead of burying them in consecrated ground. Failing to offer specific prayers for the spiritual wound caused by cremation. Isabel, a grandmother from Spain, shared that after cremating her husband, she began to receive signs that he was not at peace, appearing in dreams with sad expression. Her daughter-in-law commented that when Isabel applied exactly these methods of St. Faustina, the signs of suffering ceased completely, bringing peace and relief to Isabel and her family. The most crucial guidance St. Faustina received is that it is never too late to assist a soul that was cremated. Love and specific prayers can heal spiritual wounds, even years after death. God is merciful and understands that many families choose cremation without knowing its spiritual consequences. This is not about guilt, but about love and doing everything possible to help our loved ones find complete peace in the afterlife. The power of the methods taught by St. Faustina has helped countless families around the world. Some report immediate signs that their deceased have found peace, while others experience a profound sense of tranquility, knowing they are doing what they can to help. If you feel that you should apply these teachings of St. Faustina and have a cremated loved one who needs special prayers, share your intention in the comments. Helping your loved one and subscribing to the channel, activating the bell, can be a way to receive weekly transforming methods for the destiny of souls. Now that you know the truth revealed to St. Faustina about cremated souls, it is important to know what results to expect when applying these spiritual methods. When you follow these teachings with sincere faith, both you and your loved one's soul can experience profound transformations. The benefits may arise immediately, bringing relief and peace to the soul and to you, who feel that you are honoring the divine will and effectively helping your loved one after death. From the moment you begin the specific prayers recommended by St. Faustina, a sense of peace begins to take deep root in your heart. You feel that you are finally doing something truly effective to help your loved one. Feelings of guilt and worry begin to dissipate. After the first week of faithfully applying these methods, evident changes may occur. Disturbing dreams about the deceased tend to cease completely. If you felt an unexplained sadness or signs that the soul was not at peace, they gradually disappear. A mother in Chile shared her experience after 2 weeks of applying these methods for her cremated son. She had constant nightmares in which he appeared to be suffering. After offering specific masses and praying the Chapel of Divine Mercy, she completely regained her peace and the nightmares ceased. In the first month of constant practice, the transformation deepens. Your faith in the intercession of the saints grows enormously, and you develop a special connection with divine mercy. You begin to understand the power of prayers for the deceased and how our actions on earth affect the souls in purgatory. For the soul of your loved one, the benefits are extraordinary. St. Faustina received revelations that prayers act as a heavenly balm, relieving the spiritual pain caused by cremation. After 3 months of consistently applying the teachings of St. Faustina, many families report clear signs that their loved ones have found complete peace. Dreams in which they appear serene and grateful, sensations of a loving presence, and inner certainty that they are well. Roberto, a widower from Argentina, testified that after 6 months of following St. Faustina's method exactly for his cremated wife, he had a dream where she appeared radiant with happiness. His brother-in-law commented that Roberto went from deep depression to admirable serenity, feeling that his wife is in glory. In the long term, you become an apostle of this devotion, helping other families facing similar situations to find peace and spiritual understanding. By sharing the teachings of St. Faustina on the importance of honoring the deceased with dignity, your testimony becomes a light for others who are seeking spiritual comfort. St. Faustina wrote that those who dedicate themselves to helping the souls in purgatory receive special protection from those very souls when it is their time to depart. It is as if a network of mutual support is created between earth and heaven. Carmen Luz, a Mexican grandmother, shared that after learning about St. Faustina's teachings, she completely changed the funeral plans for her whole family. Her son commented that now they have peace of mind knowing that, when her time comes, her body will be treated with the dignity it deserves as a temple of the Holy Spirit. The long-term perspective is transformative. It not only changes the way you view death, but also the way you live. You come to understand that every decision has eternal consequences, and that true love is expressed in the way we honor our deceased. Thousands of Catholic families have already applied these teachings and constantly bear witness to souls who have found peace, families who have been healed from guilt, and funeral decisions that have changed in order to better honor God. If you have begun applying these methods and have experienced signs of peace, share your testimony in the comments. Your experience may be exactly what another family needs to find hope. Subscribe to the channel and activate the bell to receive exclusive revelations that transform eternal destinies. Share this video with families who have lost loved ones, with relatives who are making funeral decisions, and with friends who need to know the truth about cremation. Remember that every soul you help to find peace becomes your intercessor in heaven. Every prayer you offer for the deceased returns multiplied in blessings for your life. By honoring the dead with dignity, you are honoring God Himself, who created them as temples of the Holy Spirit. And when your time comes, Those souls you help will be there to accompany you into eternal glory.